Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Crypto Type, the inflation avoider. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about XRP. Yes, I thought I'd speak about Ripple. And the thing is, it's quite an interesting one. And you've got to bear in mind, for anybody who's already subscribed to my channel, you'll know that I'm not a trader. I'm more of a crypto investor. And that is the lens that I look at everything through, rather than making quick profits. That doesn't mean I haven't sold some of my XRP in the past. But the funny thing with XRP is that it's just very hard to want to sell it all, because it is something that, I mean, you look at all the fundamentals and everything that's going on with it. And obviously, if you try not to listen to all the hype about price predictions and things like that, but it's one of those that you always think sometime it might just change in price for the better, but never seems to really do that. Now, those people who got on it years ago, I haven't been in that many years. I've always had an interest in crypto, but I've not been putting my money into it until over the last 6 months, and that's one of the first things that I did buy was XRP, and it's one of those things that I've trimmed over the months and profited it on, but always had to keep some in reserve. Now, the funny thing is, looking at it, it never feels like a good time to buy it. And that's because, as we see, the price really, having moved on in my time anyway, pretty much stuck around what it is. We haven't seen any dramatic changes that really warrant buying it. No, the dips are sort of back what they were when I was first buying it. I know people will have picked it up at 50 cents and been able to, see some tidy profits out of it now. But that's what investing is about. I'm at the start of that journey and kind of looking at it through that lens that, yeah, probably going to hold on to what I've got with it and just ride it through a bear market and then start building that stack up a bit more. But the problematic bit of it is 60% of it in circulation. And although the ledger is decentralized, the whole thing seemed very, very centralized. And that is not a deal breaker with me, as I've said before with crypto, because I think a lot of the things that will take off and be important will be centralized anyway. So that's not a deal breaker with me. And there's a lot going on all the time with XRP, and a lot in development, and a lot of positive indications. But at the same time, the price never moves. And I think part of that is this supply and release of, being, I think, at a rate of 1 billion a month or something like that. But still, we've got that 40% of it that is mainly held by the original developers and founders, and that is always a problem. And especially when there's only 60% of the supply out there, so you're kind of waiting for that supply to be out before you can really expect to see anything happen with the price. I might be wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's just my take on XRP. And so for that reason, it's like, I have some that I'm not going to sell. It's just going to sit there just in case. And if I do buy, it ain't going to be now. I'm just going to wait and see what, pans out. If there's a bear market, what the prices drop to, and see if I can pick up some bargains with it. But yeah, it's such a odd one out of everything that I have. It is really odd. It's one of those where on paper you'd expect the price to be higher, but there's certain things that hold it back from that happening. Will it hold it back forever? I don't think so. And that is the crucial key and the difference when you're looking at things through an investment lens rather than just a buying and selling lens trading. And yeah, it is an odd situation, I find, with XRP. Worth having, but at the same time not worth buying. So make sense of that if you can, but it's so hard to explain. It really is. It's like there's been a lot of big news about XRP, a lot of good news, positive news about XRP that really, by the time, obviously, it's more sell the news it's been, and that's what's happened. You know, the price, by the time the news comes out, doesn't change and just tails back, and then obviously we're affected by the big crash, and that's seen prices drop lower, and still though not really in that range where I'm that prioritizing it. I think that's the key. I'm not prioritizing it because there's no real sense of urgency or any rush to get in on it when I could be investing in things that will move in price much more. But you've got to leave yourself with some in reserve just in case you're wrong. And I'm always looking on the other hand and saying I could be wrong. And if I am, that's my security. So what I've got with Ripple is what I stay with, and we take another look at it as time progresses. And I can understand why a lot of people have sold their XRP. It makes a lot of sense, especially those people who bought it years ago at 50 cents and maybe they're rotating into Bitcoin or whatever. I don't really see the price moving that dramatically in the next year or so. So there'll be better buying opportunities along the way. And if it does take off and it does go parabolic, then I've got enough in reserve to take advantage of that anyway. So yeah, it's an odd one. XRP, very, very strange coin. One you definitely kind of want to have in your portfolio, but not one I'm in a rush to buy. So it sits there and just forget about it, really, because it's not taking up a major part of my portfolio by any means. It's a very small part of it, just enough to take advantage should anything surprising happen. But nothing seems to happen, and I think there's all the other fundamentals are looking positive with it. Don't get me wrong, and like I said, the centralized aspect, as we know, it's decentralized is ledger, but the centralized aspect of the whole infrastructure around it, that doesn't put me off. It will put some people off, obviously, because it's like, I think a lot of crypto OGs and whatnot that are very against centralization, but I think it's just going to become a fact of life for crypto as more institutions get involved, and it will be people with throwing the most money at it that will, as ever in life, succeed, and that is where the money is to be made. So XRP, yeah, definitely potential for the future, and worthwhile holding, but just not worthwhile buying at the moment. There's a lot of things that are holding the price back, and that is just something to monitor over time and see what changes, I think. So yeah, when it comes to Ripple, XRP, hold what you've got. Don't sell, but don't buy. Simple as that, really. Let me know in the comments what you think. What's your approach to XRP? What are you doing with it? Have you been selling it, or are you just holding on? When did you start buying it? You know, that can influence your decision making as well. Like it says, I only got in 6 months ago, so it doesn't really make much sense for me to sell it all anyway, and just holding it and not increasing my position is probably the most sensible approach from me, especially being a normal person. And I say this a lot in my videos. The vast majority of people who will be watching these videos are just normal people like me. And we don't have unlimited supplies of money that we can just throw at anything. So we have to decide what we're putting money into and what we're not putting money into. And we're making these decisions all of the time. And at the moment, XRP is not ticking the boxes either way to say you need to be throwing money into this now. These other priorities. So it's a long-term watch, long-term hold for what I've got left. And like I said, I did make a bit of profit on it because I decided to cut down what I was holding, but I've left enough in reserve. What are you doing with your XRP? Do you have XRP still? Let me know in the comments and let me know what your approach is. Anyway, guys, if you haven't already, hit the like button because it really helps with the algorithm, and do take a moment to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'll be talking about other things that I've got in my portfolio as well, and what my thought process is behind each one, and what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, and why. You know, it's a lot of people get fixated on one coin and thinking that this is it, and maybe chasing moonshots, and that's not the way I operate. I have to look at prioritizing whilst also making sure that I've got enough there that should anything bizarre happen or unexpected happen, I can still benefit from it. And that's pretty as simple as that, really. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I'll be back with another one soon. So all that's left to say is I will catch you later, guys. Bye-bye.